Let not hate rule thy heart. Let not fear break thy will. Let not wrath cloud thy mind. Let not midnight stand eternal. Blades and Blasters presents Eternal Midnight by Rogue. This is Demon Gate, a fantasy setting filled with horror and grief. Keep your fires high, else perish in the darkness.
And at the end of days, the first sign shall appear in the heavens. Justice shall fall upon the world of men. The armies of light and shadow will clash across the fields of eternity.
It is the year 1378, in the 11th era, the year of the crow. It is the month of reaping, when summer has ended and the fall brings the cold snows. It is the time for the harvest, and soon the midday of the month brings the Festival of the Dead, a day to honor those who have passed to the next world. The village of Giltarn rests in the midst of the snow-covered forest, a place the inhabitants of this land simply call the White Wood. For most of the year, it is covered in a blanket of soft snow. The village is ruled by the generous and strong Jarl Bjorn Ringvald, whom upon his death shall pass the throne to one of his 3 sons, most likely his eldest, Olaf. Out of all of his sons, Olaf is the one that the people hope will not acquire this title. For he was always the brash, ambitious, and cruelest of the 3. The village pays homage to the country of Baleclade and the banner of Hammerfall. Hammerfall is the only civilization known to exist in these savage lands of the north, and it lies over 2 weeks' travel to the southeast of here, on a small road through the White Wood. Jarl Ringvold is sworn to heed the call of the King of Baleclade when in need, yet that call has not come in 20 years. Not since the barbarians of Undar came to attack the villages of Baleclade to kill, capture, and eat the people they had taken. These pale cannibals are still feared in these lands and still haunt the stories by the campfire. Orcs and goblins as well, a common terrifying tale by the fire. Yet most have never even seen one save for Avos, the eldest of the tribe's warriors, or Forthnar, the ranger who often visits to trade. Not but last year a different type of story emerged. A vision was foretold by the village seer Istmar. He spoke of a dark man coming to Geltarn, and consumed by a dark curse. The Cursed One's arrival would mark the coming of a terrible famine, and several bad omens would follow. Istmar knew that the fault did not belong to the Dark One, but his arrival would mark the coming tide of the eternal midnight. The seer called this event by name, for he had spoken of it before, but only now were the visions falling into place. Although some of his stories were hard for many to believe, there were still some in the village that knew there was truth in his words. Some believed in his power. Those that did were the ones who visited his hut often for advice. A week ago, Istmar fell ill and has been under the constant care of the Moon Temple. Priestess Yuya has moved Istmar into a spare room to keep an eye on his fever and listen to his endless ramblings, which seemed broken and in no discernible order. Her sister Kiltiel has also taken up residence in a spare room within the church to help in these hard times. For the other members of the church have taken a pilgrimage to Hammerfall for the Festival of the Dead, to the Grand Cathedral housing all manner of massive shrines to the gods. Istmar's fever has grown worse as of late, and all seem to feel the old seer may not make it to the winter. His visions of a blood-soaked land, turned from white to red, are often terrifying. Fields of the dead, bones and bodies without flesh. Something needs the flesh, he said. Something uses it. He sees naught but worms in the food and will not eat it. He cannot, which is a bad sign. As well, a book haunts his mind, an ancient tome chained, bound, hidden from the eyes of mortals. He coughs and wheezes. These pages are poison. The presence is madness. He looks towards Yuya. His face softens, as if his pain just falls away, and he realizes she is there by his side. He manages a smile with his old, weathered face. Angel, you are an angel, my dear. Then, suddenly, the door flies open, letting the cold air billow into the room, and in stumbles the one you have come to know as the Hunter. And a nearly frozen stranger who seems on the brink of consciousness and very near death. And you guys can take it away from here.
Hunter would stumble into the doorway, looking for a nearby fire or hearth to lay the stranger down next to, and then would grab a few sticks from the fire, grab a few sticks from nearby to try to build the fire, make it stronger as he lays the stranger down next to it.
And Priestess Yuya stands suddenly from beside Istmar off the bed. She rushes over to where the hunter and his frozen compatriot are. Her robe's kind of billowing out behind her. She quickly hurries over. Where did you find him?
Out in the snow.
Oh, I'll see what I can do for him, but if the moon goddess thinks that he should survive, well, then he'll survive. And the priestess kind of kneels down and tries to assess him, see if he's got any open wounds. She looks back, trying to find signs of the other redhead within the temple. Sister! Sister, we need blankets.
The other redhead, who has her hair done up in tight but asymmetrical braids, has leaped up and had rushed forward to get a look at the newcomer. But as her sister points out that they need blankets, she nods and rushes into a corner where there are some folded woolen blankets and brings them over. Her face is pretty enough, but she's got a large blackish smudge in the middle of her forehead. She hands the blankets to the other girl, who looks remarkably similar in physically, although their demeanors are very different. Here, is he alive?
Well, he looks to be at least surviving. Yuya leans down. Looks like she's kind of got this smile still kind of plastered to her face, even though the situation's a little bit dire. Looks very almost automatic, not very genuine, but it's still there. She kind of assesses this new man kind of lying there in front of the fire, covering him in blankets, seeing if he's got a pulse, seeing if he's breathing.
As you approach, you realize that he is shivering almost frantically, quickly, from the cold. He's not wearing winter clothing at all. Even laying there, you realize he's a very tall man with long blonde hair, pale, almost translucent skin, and bright blue eyes. He looks with wide eyes up at you, but it's almost as he's seen past you, looking through you. He wraps his arms across his chest and tries to pull the warmth back into his skin as he trembles, saying nothing.
Keltiel looks at his striking features with interest. It's very rare that they get strangers here in the town. Sister, you must check his hands and feet. Make sure there is no frostbite.
I will. If so, I'm sure the moon goddess will give me the power to heal the boy. She kind of looks over him, trying to gauge just how bad he is in terms of health.
You notice that he actually has very little in the ways of wounds. It just looks more like he's prone to frostbite. He just needs to be warmed and cared for and rests.
Well, looks like as long as we keep him warm, the boy's gonna be fine. We should probably set him up a small little place to sleep here in front of the fire. Maybe if you can go get some pillows or something like that from the closets there. We can get him at least slightly comfortable. And she stares kind of at the man, looking down at him.
Yes, I will get some broth too. Perhaps we can warm him from the inside.
It's a great idea, sister.
She walks off to get the pillow and stops at the fire where there's a kettle of broth that they keep warm, trying to get Ismar to drink it since he won't eat. And she eventually brings it all over. Looks at the hunter. Can you help to lift him so that he does not choke?
And the hunter would come out of his room on the side and kind of go over rather brusquely and lift the stranger a bit.
While Yuya's examining him and the hunter's lifting him, Kelt will take the broth and bring it to his mouth. Are you with us enough to drink? And she'll wet his lips with it just a little bit so that perhaps unconsciously he'll sort of get that there's something there, something to drink.
I don't know, Rogue, am I conscious enough to drink that, or?
Yeah, you're actually waking up now that you're by the fire, and surprisingly enough, like, you guys do not know how this man is still alive, but he's starting to rejuvenate.
As you place the bowl to his lips, he reaches out and grasps the bottom of it and begins to fill his mouth and swallow in large gulps, tipping it back quickly.
No, slow, you must go slow.
He ignores anything that is said to him and attempts to drink the entire thing.
Kelt shakes her head and looks at her sister. He may be sick later.
Well, we can deal with sickness. All that matters is that he's alive.
She looks to the hunter.
Well, thank you for rescuing the boy. Where did you say you found him again? Just outside wandering about?
He was in a block of ice, or he was basically in the snow, Rogue, just to clarify.
You found him in a cave, actually.
Okay. I was searching a cave. He was inside. He wasn't undead, so I brought him back.
A cave. Oh. I'm surprised the boy's alive. I mean, he's looking a bit worse for wear, but usually I think people in this kind of weather usually are dead at this point if they don't have protection.
How is he dressed? Is he dressed in a way that is familiar to us, or something distinctly different?
Rogue, do you want to describe that, or?
No, go ahead, you can do that. And, I mean, I think you were from somewhere else, so go ahead, it's up to you.
Yeah, he is wearing what you would essentially consider to be a robe, thin, white, with blue and purple trim, but very thin. His feet are not covered with boots. Instead, they're sandals. All his garments are very light, as if he was from, or was not from here, clearly. He's not dressed for the weather. They're pretty beat up at this point, but it doesn't take much to see that these were elegant pieces of clothing at one point.
Keltiel's examining him with a critical eye, and she stares at his sandaled feet. What is he wearing? Look, he has sandals on his feet. How does he not have frostbite?
I'm not very sure. Can you speak there?
His eyes are going between the two of you as you talk. And he frowns as you ask him if he can speak. What is it? Where am I?
Oh, it looks like he can. They're in the temple of the moon goddess.
He looks confused. He turns, looking up at the hunter. He turns, looks away, and looks up into the ceiling. I recognize none of this. Where am I? Where is this place?
This is near the village of Gentarn. What are you doing here in your thin clothes? Were you robbed?
He frowns again. I do not know.
Well, you can stay here, of course, until you know. We're here to help you.
You notice he's reaching around his hip looking for something, and he has a almost panic look on his face. Where are my things, my belongings?
Yuya looks to the hunter.
Did he have anything?
No. He had nothing.
Well, maybe once you're better we can get some warmer clothes on you and we can go back to where the hunter found you. What's your name?
They call me Wrath.
Yuya smiles, but more genuinely.
Well, hello, Wrath. I am Priestess Yuya, Priestess of Ghana.
It's that smell. This is... You are... Looks like he's going to say something else, but draws into silence, looking over his shoulder at the fire and the hunter.
Yuya kind of sits back, crosses her legs, and puts her hands in her lap.
Well, we'll sit here, making sure you get warmed up, making sure you don't get frostbite. It's a bit of light clothing to be wearing this far north, but don't worry. We have some spare clothing here at the temple. We're happy to help those in need.
Were you traveling alone? Or should there be others out there we should be looking for?
Only my blade matters.
Says Keltio. That is what all the boys think. Ah. This is madness, There is no way you are out there in those clothes. He must have been robbed and hit on the head.
Well, maybe the moon goddess made sure to protect him and made sure the hunter found him. That's probably it.
Keltio rolls her eyes.
He was meant to come here.
Of that, I would agree.
You can see Yuya smile even more, of ignoring her sisters, and the hunter's kind of scoffs and eye rolling.
Yes, you must be meant to come here, and we'll make sure to help you get your sword back and figure out where you came from.
What hell is this?
Oh, it's not hell at all. It's just the north. You're in you're very far north there. You're in Balaclade.
Those words mean nothing to me.
Well,
He stands up and tosses the blanket off of him and moves over to a window, trying to peer outside.
It is cold, but I would hardly call it hell. In the springtime, it is quite lovely.
yes. Though I think you should be keeping on the blanket there.
She'll kind of get up from the floor, picking up the blanket from the ground, walking over to where Wrath is at the window.
You're gonna keep catching the cold there if you're gonna be staring at windows. Just take a moment, alright?
He does accept the blanket again and walks back to the fire, but does not say anything as he does so.
Since he seems fine, I'm going to head back to my room, work on a few things. If you need me, call.
Of course. Thank you, Hunter.
He would walk over and be reviewing a few things on a table.
And Hunter, you actually have a room outside of, it's just outside the front door of this place, and it's kind of like your own little lodge that they shacked you up with. You weren't sure if it was because they might not trust you very much, or that they just didn't want you staying in there or not. But you have your own little private place outside. And Wrath, could you make a willpower check, please? Just up at the top, you can click attribute checks and scroll down to willpower.
Any modifiers?
No modifiers.
Oof.
Okay. So right now, yeah, you have no recollection of anything that happened. No cool visions yet. But if you guys are finished, would you like to keep continuing in here?
Wrath is mostly just sitting by the fire, brooding, trying to think, but unable to remember anything, obviously.
And Yuya is kind of going between Ismar and Wrath, making sure the two of them are alright.
Keltiel will ask her sister, "Did you get Ismar to drink or eat today?"
And even with the smile still on her face, she shakes her head.
No, I don't think he's choosing to eat or drink just yet, but if Ghana wills it, then he'll get better.
He won't get better if he does not eat or drink. I will try with him, and then I will try to sleep, but I do not want to leave you alone in this room.
I'll be fine, sister.
We do not know this stranger. He does not even seem to know himself.
No, but I think he was meant to be here. I don't sense any threat from the man.
Well, and she narrows her eyes. I'm not sure you are always the best judge of character, sister. You tend to see the best of everyone.
Well, everyone always brings their best when they come to the temple.
Keltiel just shakes her head. I will go to my room, and she points to a chamber just off this main room, but I will leave the door cracked.
Well, you have a good sleep there, sister. I will take care of these two till the night comes. Then I will say my prayers and slumber.
Very well. Keltil will get another bowl of broth and see if she can get Ismar to swallow any of it. And then she'll head to her room with a backward glance at the stranger.
Istmar turns towards you a little bit to regard you, and as you put the bowl to his lips, he just kind of coughs it out.
You must drink. It is good. I make it myself.
He looks towards you weakly and he says, the angels have fallen.
Yes, yes, and they want you to drink.
You try a little bit more and nothing good comes of it.
She just shakes her head, puts the bowl down beside his bed, and heads to her room.
Camera pans over to a different view of the church here. Priestess Yuya, your room is up here, if you can see that. This is the room where Istmar is. And this room down here with the alchemical goods is Keltiel's room. The long fire here where Wrath is. There's rugs and different shrines in this chamber, it seems, to different gods. Wrath, you don't seem to recognize any of these at the moment, but then again, you can't recall much of anything at the moment. Hunter, to the west, your lodge is out here, if you can see that bleep.
Yep.
And we'll go ahead and have the camera pan to Keltiel in her chamber, where she is now by herself.
Keltiel is wearing similar priestly robes to her sister, but they're wrinkled and dirty, and she takes them off as soon as she's in her room and tosses them in a corner. She flops down on her bed, closes her eyes restlessly. Born in Skyburn, on the day of high fire. The dragon has ruled our lives from the very start. Many babes are born bald. Not so for my sister and I. Flame red hair marked us at birth, and I can remember that some called us the Dragon Girls. Yuya claims not to remember anything of the sort, but I find that she tends to remember things the way she likes to remember them. Father, he had red hair too, and a red beard. We lived by the lake, and he was a fisherman, but aside from his hair, it's a fishy smell and scratchy embrace that I recall. He died, drowned, and Mother took it very hard. My sister and I became invisible, and though we tried our best to cheer her, she had given up on us, on life. She stopped eating and bathing herself, stayed in her bed and wasted away. We cleaned her and tried to feed her, but 2 5-year-olds can only do so much. It wasn't long before the food was gone. Children are not very good at rationing. That was when Yuya got the idea that we should try to catch some fish ourselves. Yuya has always been an optimist. And once again, I was dragged along in her undertow. To my surprise, it was easy. We took a net out into the shallows and came back with several good-sized fish. But the fire had gone out in the heart days before, and raw fish makes a foul meal. I'd helped to light the fire many times and thought I could handle it, so yes, I started the fire. Never say I denied it. Just make a large enough pile of tinder and strike the knife against the flint. But perhaps some damp had gotten into the tinder. I just couldn't make it catch. So I took some cooking oil and soaked the tinder, and thinking that would help. Oh, did it ever. That fire took hold and burned hot and high. I was standing so close, my shawl caught as well. I threw it from me, and some rags on the floor were lit. Soon the fire was spreading up the walls onto the thatch roof. "Mother!" Yuya cried over and over and tugged at her hand. Mother saw the flames, but she just rolled over, pulled the blanket up over her head. That was the last time I heard my sister's voice for 5 years. I dragged my sister from our home, choking on the smoke and tears. I don't remember hearing my mother cry out. I hope the smoke got to her before the flames, but in truth, she was dead before the fire ever started. The dragon gives, and she takes. We ran to the temple, not knowing what else to do. After seeing the ruined remains of our home, they took us in and raised us as acolytes. Yuya seemed to have lost her ability to speak. I wallowed in guilt, felt that I had lost both mother and sister in the same day. When she finally found her voice again, she seemed reborn. Gone was the mischievous prankster who hid prawns in my bed. This new Yuya was a devotee of the moon goddess, full of praise and shining adoration. I miss my old Yuya. The sisters at the temple were strict, but they kept us clothed and fed. Beatings were infrequent, and I usually deserved them. But I never felt the call. No, let me be clear. The gods are sheepdung. Whether or not they exist, they care nothing for small folk like me, and I want nothing to do with them. Forgiveness? Healing? Some wounds can't be healed, and some of us don't deserve forgiveness. At 16, my sister took the oath, but I could not say the words. Call me an ingrate, call me a stubborn ass, but a hypocrite I will never be. An alchemist from the nearby village, Vagrant, did some custom at the temple. He was polite, but there was an edge of thinly veiled sarcasm to his praises that endeared him to me. I managed to convince him to take me on as an apprentice, and the sisters reluctantly agreed. In return, I keep a room at the temple, remain to help with any rituals involving crystal magic, that being the one study I found interesting at the temple. So that's not so bad. And it keeps my sister in my life. Touched mooncalf that she is, someone needs to look out for her. That was 3 years ago. Now I have learned enough to be of some use to Vagrant. Life in the village is much more interesting than our cloistered temple existence, but folks still see me as an outsider. Some even say I am a firebrand, that those who get too close are destined to die by my fire. Superstitious idiots. Most people are dull as dirt and twice as stupid. At least there is the occasional festival or odd bit of gossip, and of course my work, which never bores me. Perhaps it is because of my mother, or because of my hair, or being born under the dragon, but thoughts of fire, and my quest to master it, consume me, like the moon has my sister. When I have it fully in hand, perhaps I can use it to burn out the remorse that still eats at my heart when I see Yuya, and that fear that she will be taken from me. She says that all these things are in the hands of the gods. but I will never trust them with our fates again.
And the camera pans outside to the hunter's lonely lodge, where he is found alone. Go ahead.
Hunter is going through a few things on a table. A few arrows need to be straightened out, properly fletched, carved, sharpened. A few contraptions, rope, strings, sticks, more brutal traps. He stands there, his hands on his desk, and looks down. I see them. Visions in my sleep. A young boy. Farmstead. Days spent at play, meandering about. My father sowed the seeds. My mother cooked meals. My brother studied his books. My dear brother. The community was vibrant. A rarity in a broken world. Idyllic. Quiet. Neighbors sharing goods. Fair barters. Good company. Beautiful women. An oasis in a desert. A fire in the biting snow. Hide and go seek with my brother, just to pass the time before supper. We went into the cellar, the basement. My brother in the basement. The hands reached out of the ground. He was smiling. My brother. My stupid brother. My mad brother. He was smiling, holding his book. The book glowed. His eyes glowed. The ground shook and shivered. I heard voices that had no body. I pissed myself. I ran. I ran as the hands came from the ground, all around. Hands pulling themselves up. Shambling masses of flesh and bone raggedly shifting, shuffling around the pathways. Men took pitchfork and club to them. It didn't matter. The dead don't feel pain. No one knew how to kill them. The opposite was hardly true. Heaps of bodies lay in the wake of the undead, slowly joining their ranks. Necks were torn, bones snapped, skulls crushed. Undead feel no pain and feel no remorse when they inflicted. The community became a scene of gore and bloodshed. I watch from afar. I see the bodies twitching, coming to life again. My father, my mother, eyes white, shuffling about. They move, but they aren't alive. They don't breathe. There's a vacancy, an emptiness. The soul is gone, the flesh just doesn't know it. It's twisted. A perverse facsimile of life. An idyllic home completely destroyed. Family fractured. All thanks to a book and a brother. My dear, twisted brother. I wake up. This is the same dream every night, down to the last minute detail. The dream never changes. The blood, the guts, the sounds, all of it is the same, and it never stops. Each night it goes on and on. I see my brother. I see his undead. I see his smile. I haven't smiled in a long time, and I rarely find joy. But the joy I find is in cleansing this world of undead filth. My home was taken from me, destroyed. The world is my home now. As a good housekeeper does, the home must be made clean. Door to door, tavern to tavern I go. Do the dead walk? If so, where? And I go. I chop them to pieces and burn the flesh. That's how the dead stay dead. I keep learning new ways to kill them. Fire, acid, traps. Each day is a chance to learn something new. Each new method a valuable lesson in my endeavor. I find joy in the imagination. How powerful a weapon, the mind. My name, I forgot. I haven't heard it in so long. Call me whatever you please. Hunter, slayer, butcher, doesn't matter. None of it matters except the killing and the burning. The hunting is all that matters. My brother hunts me, and I hunt him and his ilk. One day I'll feel his neck in my hands, his lifeless neck. I'll twist it, undo a living nightmare. One strip at a time, I'll bare his flesh and bone to the world. I'll pull every tooth from his mouth. He will never smile again. Then, and only then, will I find my smile again.
And to Yuya, the camera pans.
And Yuya walks between Ishtar and Wrath. Hair red like flame, movements fluid like water. Yuya floated between the two men in sickness around the temple. Kind smiles, they stuck to her porcelain face, like a small doll that gets sat in the corner. It was practiced for many years, almost automatic. Though seeing people within the church walls made the priestess glad, the same smile was always stuck to her face. She was taught to smile, for in the light of one's smile, Ghana shines down to those who view it. Fair skin and a fair complexion bless the priestess. Normally should be sought after as a wife at the sage, but Priestess Yuya was married to the temple. Her body belonged to the moon goddess, as did her soul. Every action she took, every word she said, was always carefully measured and adjusted. Purity and piety were virtues she exemplified. Her only care was serving her goddess, and her dedication was communicated through her actions. Day or night, the priestess could be found at the temple proper on the grounds. She'd make evening trips to the nearby lake to pray and conduct service for Ghana there. Only once a week a small crowd within the town would gather, since there was not that many of them. And it's really all the time that they had for the moon goddess. Iria was normally alone during these services, or followed by one or two people. Nevertheless, the priestess would always conduct her prayers and enact her rituals. Even with the stranger, the sick Ishtar within the temple, like clockwork, she eventually made her way down to the lake. Though the snow fell upon her in small flakes, Yuya still made her walk with her white robes. Every step she took outside, she could feel her skin prickling, the hair sticking up, her body slowly freezing. But the strength she had in her belief kept her warm. It filled her belly with pride, her heart with heat. Her red hair was flecked with white by the time she was at the lake. Looking onward to the center, she reflected on her past, as it was not quite time for prayer just yet. She would only pray when the moon was blessing the skies with its presence, but right now the sun was just touching the edges of the world in her eyes.
I do not think I truly came alive until after my mother's soul was released from her body. At the time, I felt a harboring of hatred towards my sister, blaming her for starting the fire that consumed our familial home. No, Now I don't blame her. I thank her instead. Lifeless with her mother. Turned her back on her babies because her husband was consumed by the waters. The flames finally purified the empty shell that was my mother. As flames licked her skin, I can still remember the smell. The smell of burnt flesh, yes, but the smell of a tortured woman finally being released. Released from the bindings of this mortal coil. Released into the aether and judged for her actions. Whether or not she was worthy or not to ascend, I know not. But it is not my place to judge. I am purely a vessel of Ghana now. Though my sister and I were born of the dragon, my calling was to the water and to the night. My moon goddess, my savior, Ghana, has brought me back to her. My lips did not part for many moons after the purification of my mother. Dreams of fire and fame plagued me. Smells, sights, burning, melting, ever-consuming. Breathing smoke damaged my lungs and voice. But the sister said Ghana would help me one day. And if I was fortunate enough, she'd help me find my song again. At 10, Ghana gave me a voice to speak with and a message to deliver, for I belonged to her in every way. All the hardships in life were worth coming to this point. I am everything I want, and everything I need is within the words I heed from the moon goddess.
And with that reflection, Priestess Yuya could see the moon getting higher and higher in the sky, blessing her eyes and bathing her in the moonlight, as it did every night. The waves lapped at the shore where the priestess stood. Ice was pushed in shards onto the shores. Shattering sounds were underneath her feet as she made her way partially into the cold waters. And as the moonlight touched her skin, she pressed her hands together and stared up into the sky.
I come to thee, Ghana, and offer myself to you at this time of Autumn Luna. Body, heart, soul, everything I am, was, and will be, are yours. I beseech thee to look down upon my mortal soul for only a moment, for your grace and your word is mine compass and guide. Guide mine soul with gentle hands to hear your call and do as you wish. I am but an instrument of your will. Let these waters and lights carry my whispers to your ever-loving ears and hear my call. Gaze sight to this town and protect it with your moonlight. Keep the horrors at bay and let the sick reach health. Let the sinners find atonement through actions and reach a sense of peace from within themselves. Let the lost be found by your ever-loving moonlight. Let me be the shepherd for the lost and guide those to your open arms. I am yours, Ghana. Do with me as you will, for my heart and mind are open to you. Blessed be the moon goddess in all your wisdom.
And with that, the priestess steps out of the water and clasping her hands, making her way back into the temple, into the fire.
And then the camera pans to Wrath by the fire.
Wrath is seated by the hearth, knelt forward, looking at his palms, flexing his fingers over and over again. If anyone were close enough, they could hear him murmur to himself, "A man's eyes burn bright with blue fire that reflects his soul like a mirror. And when that flame is doused by failure, his soul grows cold and distant. destined to drag him down into the pits of hell. His eyes were pale now, washed away as cold encased him. His skin was translucent. Even warm, it almost matched his surroundings that were so clearly foreign. But when those eyes opened, they shimmered like a star, the lightest blue against the sea of clouds. Slowly, his eyes moved, looking to his new surroundings, unknowing, lost, confused. His body slumped forward and he coughed violently, expelling the remnants of bile and broth from his stomach, which formed a brown pool on the ground at his feet. He retched. His hands clasped his seat, keeping him from falling over. His head turned as he wiped his mouth. His eyes blinked, surprised and worried. He reached suddenly and desperately over his shoulder. His hand felt his back just beneath the shoulder blade. His palm slid back and forth, and then stopped. He ripped his shirt from his body, threw it haphazardly to the ground, and exposed 2 long and blackened scars just below each shoulder. He leant forward, placing his head in his hands again, and sobbed, speaking to himself low, in a murmur, cutting through his tears. The past is like water in my hands. The tighter I grip, the more slips through my fingers. What I do remember only brings dread. Why strike it all from my mind? Why not rid me of such pain? Why am I forsaken in this place? Why did the gods choose to cast me aside? Did I disobey and betray their faith in the end? Did I forsake them and not they I? My heart only knows despair in this plane of existence so far removed from my kith and kin. And of course, her. It seemed only yesterday we made a pact to destroy he that watched and waited. The entity had dug itself deep beneath the world, hiding from we who soared above. But still it sent hordes, demon spawn, and horrors unimaginable against we that protect the world. I was born and raised for one purpose, the defense of those that tend the fields, sew the cloth, birth the child, brew the mead. Those simple of existence, but an existence that turned over generation after generation, spreading life across the worlds, all of them. And yet here I look about and see the fruits of my pain. This place, it is a wretch upon the world, a dark spot of cancer. They will know pain is life. Be grateful for what others have bled so that you might have. The cycle of life continues. We must have been victorious in the end, but I remember nothing. I remember her face, only my vengeance, as I drew my blade and thrust it through her heart, giving the blade her soul, imbuing it with power of her very essence. I wept, but only for a moment, as the sword gave me comfort. The blade was she, and she was the sword. The archangel Michael anointed me that day. May the light bless you against the darkness. May it purify of heart that of the corrupted. May strong save the weak. May you be the vessel of our hope and strike down all foes that do not flee from your holy vision. I stood strong of heart and mind, empowered by vengeance at my side as an instrument of death, and walked forward to my fate. Through snow-blown mountains I stalked my prey. For days I walked seeking no shelter and felt no cold. I truly was the god's vessel of vengeance, and the dark ichor of this unseen evil would soon drip from vengeance's new crystalline form. We slew minor demons. Most fled before us as we closed on the beast. Finally, a door seen through the astral plane. I stepped through without hesitation, leading to a lair of unimaginable horror. But I was not afraid. I should have been. I was filled with such confidence. Ego that gave me such dominance over the lesser evils propelled me forward. I passed faces of my brethren peering, of ice and despair, horror and pain. I paid none of them any mind. I would free them. I would ascend. I was the harbinger of vengeance and wrath. Vengeance and I would intermix our seed and be scions of the gods. Why was I so foolish? Before pride comes the fall, but my confidence could not overcome the fact that I soon started to feel the chill upon my skin and in my bones. It was an unnatural cold, but I pushed forward to the darkest and more horrible place of the labyrinth of ice. I could not tell you how long it took, days, weeks, to find our prey. There in the foulest pit of refuge was a child, a boy, his skin pocked with disease and decay, his eyes crystal blue with a distant hate. The moans of creatures, women, men, and animals up in a chorus of sinful pleasures. It was enough to make a mortal man go insane. But I was the chosen vessel of vengeance. I was wrath. I drew my blade, my lover, my protector, and laid lips upon her one last time, knowing she and I would vanquish the evil and deliver the world from darkness. I leapt into the pit of woe. I swung vengeance as they fell upon us, and nothing. His head turns left and right to see if anyone is watching or listening. His voice lowers again. I sit here in this unfamiliar place, wearing a vaguely unfamiliar face. Thawed from my tomb, I took my first breath in. I do not know. And I have been delivered here, whatever here was. I feel tired. I feel slow. Drained of everything. My wings do not sprout. I do not fly. My fury is an ember. Sadness and despair take me now instead of such ego, such pride. This was my punishment. To climb so high only to be burned by the stars. To wish so much, to love so deep. Was it jealousy? Did my brothers desire her so? She was mine, my vengeance. Where are you now? Do you watch down from the heavens in another's bed? Do you rest in the crust of the earth, frozen as I was? Do you walk this place nearby, far away, barely aware of your life? Even our first days and nights together were a fog. Fleeting still paintings of our kisses, smiles, and indulgences of the flesh. I will seek you. I will find you. If you are in this plane of existence or another, even in death if I must, I shall not stop, for without the prospect of you return to me, I would fade away into oblivion. My heart no longer strong enough to carry me forward alone. Where is this place? What realm is this? I smell men all around me. They're yammering, they're questioning. Why did I sacrifice so much for so little? They know not my hardships and woe, and that of my kin. Would they care if they did? No. They only know dirt, cruel and rotting beneath flea-covered blankets. These creatures disgust me. Why am I forsaken? I curse the gods for this punishment. My wings have been torn from me as if I were cast out to hell. There is no fire and brimstone here, but to exist as I am, my soul has diminished a hell of failure and loss. But I will persevere. I shall rise again like a phoenix from the ashes, burning through this Arctic damnation. I am the scion of my kin. I am greater than my cursed body and mind. I shall stand whole once more. I will thwart angel or demon, and I feel the taint of his touch. I shall watch it from me. I shall succeed where I have failed, and most of all, I shall find you, my love, and we shall fly through the heavens once more. I shall take you in my arms and never let you go. Our scion shall inherit the world and rule as kings and queens. I am coming. And he is looking up into the sky as if the roof was not above his head.
At about that time, two men enter the door pretty quickly. You recognize them. Well, Yuya, you recognize them, and Coleman and Ramnar. And Coleman says, Priestess, is everything okay?
Iria is kind of, she's got, her robes are still slightly wet, but she seems to be kind of making sure everything's in order up by the altar, and she turns around, smile on her face.
Of course. What can I do for the two of you?
She starts to make her way down the stairs.
Ramnar steps up. We saw someone coming through the snow towards the church. We were just making sure you are okay.
Well, thank you for checking in on us, gentlemen, but we're fine. We just have a new visitor is all.
With that, they both look over towards Wrath.
Wrath is seated by the fire, shirtless, staring in their direction, but saying nothing.
And Ramnar nods towards Wrath and just looks back towards Keltiel, and trusting her judgment. You know, he says, "Very, very good, priest. Just."
Keltiel had just poked her head out at all the noise. She had heard some muttering coming from the other room, and it kept her from falling asleep, but when these two villagers come in, she looks to Wrath, then she looks back to them. I think we are okay here. Thank you for looking in.
I missed what you said there.
Okay. She had poked her head out the door and just reassured them. I think we are okay here, but thank you for looking in on us.
Come and look now. Thank you very much. You have a good night. He smiles at you. Like, long, Ramnar kind of grabs his shoulder. Let us get it back to the duties. And they both leave.
Yuya kind of makes her way towards the fire. I'm seeing over there that Wrath's taking off his shirt, and I think he said he puked on the floor. He's gonna look over, still with a same smile, kind of plastered to her face.
Oh, I'll go get a bucket of water. You feeling alright?
No.
Oh.
He tosses the shirt down, kind of scoops it up off the ground and throws it onto the pile of bile and broth, and just pushes it away with his foot.
Well, I'll go get some water. I'll get a cloth and make sure that's all cleaned up. I don't think you want to be dirty in your shirt there, but we have ways of washing things. Don't worry.
She'll turn around. I'm assuming she can go and find a bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Keltiel moves forward, kind of frowning at Wrath as her sister walks away. And as she thinks her sister might be just out of earshot, she turns back to him. If you are standing here without a shirt and all this, I think you are feeling well enough to maybe clean up your own mess. My sister is not your slave.
He turns towards you, and the fire catches, kind of shows what he looks like. His chest is covered in blue and yellow and red and various patterns around his trunk. There's almost very little uncovered from his chest down to his waistline. And he steps forward. I do not clean.
WILI, she says, and she looks him up and down in a very obvious way. Well, perhaps you can get away with that for the moment. My sister is quite tender-hearted. But if you do not clean up after yourself, eventually you will be sitting in a corner stinking. A very pretty stinking boy.
He looks down at her. Is that all you have to say?
No. You had better respect my sister. You are a guest here, and she tends to see the best in everyone. She sees your pretty face. She thinks you are as pretty on the inside as on the outside. I am not so sure. I will have my eyes on you.
I mean you no harm. But you are right. I am certainly not pretty on the inside.
She nods. None of us are. Except maybe my sister.
Worry not. But I do not scrub floors.
Well, you seem fairly young. There is plenty of time to learn.
He smiles widely at that comment. You're not exactly sure what part of it he finds as humorous, but he gives you a very large smile.
Keltiel senses that he's amused by something she said, but can't quite put her finger on it, and sees her sister coming back. I will go and try to sleep again, sister.
Oh.
Hopefully our guest will be a little quieter.
Well, sometimes you can't help if you're sick.
She's carrying like a bucket in one hand and cloth in the other as she goes over to the mess and picking up the shirt with 2 fingers, putting it to the side.
Keltiel heads back to her room, muttering. I think he can help muttering to himself.
Wrath simply watches you begin to clean. He makes no attempt to assist. He will step out of the way is about as much as he'll do.
She cleans as well as she can. She seems still to be smiling, and afterwards kind of wrings the cloth out in the bucket, picking up the shirt. And
Well, I'll go get these all cleaned up. I'll also get you some nice bedding. I think we have a spare room for you, so you don't have to sleep on the floor.
You are going to launder that shirt.
Yes.
Might as well take this as well. And he unlatches his rope on the rest of his robe and just lets it drop to the floor. He's completely naked underneath.
yeah, kind of that as he's starting, she just turns away, covers her face.
Excuse me, that's extremely inappropriate.
She kind of points. I'm guessing this room's free.
Yeah, that's the kind of the kitchen area.
Oh, damn. She's kind of pointing south as she's looking away.
There's a room over there. I'll bring you some clothes, but
She's very red in the face at this point, face matching hair.
I'll be resting. And he will turn around and go to the nearest thing that looks like a bed or a blanket and just flops down on it. No modesty whatsoever.
You'll head back very quickly, making her way up the stairs, going to put his clothes away somewhere and finding him new clothes before coming back to where he was. Kind of, she seems to be feeling her way out more, looking at the ground than anything, holding up clothes, extremely, like, just averting her eyes. And she kind of tosses the spare clothes to Wrath.
if you need anything, please make sure to get dressed. I'm not allowed to view these kind of things.
He looks up but doesn't say anything. He's underneath a blanket if there's one there, so it's not like he's like just spread eagle, but he doesn't acknowledge you in an affirmative way. He just closes his eyes and rests his head.
All right. I'll be sleeping. Just holler if you need me.
And she kind of hustles back into her room. I kind of hear her saying prayers and a lot of apologies.
Right, and that night goes by, the camera fades to dark, to the next day. Next day when you guys awaken, you find that Ishtar has passed away in the night, which of course springs the village into action, and there's many people come to the church that day. The Jarl, in fact, is one of them, and his personal bodyguards, and there's no real, real suspicion or anything that, anything happened. He was very sick anyway, but there is some claim that how strange that a new person should arrive, a foreigner, for, Ismar to pass in the night and be staying at the church, So there's comments like that you might hear during that night. But a gathering takes place during midday outside of the church, and I'm just going to go ahead and you guys can, if you can pull your people outside here to the left of the church, I'm gonna put these people, you should be able to see them.
Oh.
You guys see everybody?
Down and to the left or to the left?
Probably
Right.
to
There's
the
a
left.
large group of people.
There we go.
Big rock, many runes.
You see the gathering out here? Okay. So they've assembled a funeral pyre for him, and everybody who's anybody is here. Of course, there's more people than this just here. Pretty much the entire village has, because Ismar was pretty famous, the village seer. So the Jarl, Bjorn Rengwald, comes up to you, Yuya, while Baelor is standing next to him, who is his personal bodyguard. And the Jarl comes up to you and he says, Moon Goddess, may I speak with you?
Of course, Jarl. Anything you need.
Could you say some kind words, perhaps, for Ismar?
Of course, my Jarl.
Moon Goddess. Moon Priestess.
I've got us now.
Big
Got
upgrade.
raised.
Well, that's one day. If you could say some kind words, that would be very good. And then, of course, we will celebrate at my hall afterwards. You are all invited to my hall.
Of course, Jarl. Of course, if anybody else has things to say, I will make a small homage to Ishtar. And if anybody else has any kind words.
A few people do step up and whisper things and touch his resting place or his leg and bow their heads at that time as Baelor stands there with the torch. But no one actually comes up to speak.
And Yuya takes that initiative. She doesn't seem very hesitant. Still has that smile on her face. Eyes are a bit sad looking down at Ismar, seeing a man that they all knew pass away so suddenly into the night under her watch. But still the smile remains. She kind of walks up to the head in front of everybody, standing there. She clasps her hands together and clears her throat.
Although it is midday, of course, whenever the moon rises, Skana basks in her moonlight, we bid her to honor this man, Ismar, and ease spirit from this mortal coil. We bid upon Beogar to accept this man and judge them with fairness, taking all the deeds and find them worthy of thy grace. Should he doth not deem them worthy, cast them asunder and let their spirit be carried right. Yet if the spirit is worthy of embrace, find him as a brother and guide him as they as guide others. We bid to Elorian to fill our hearts with music as their spirit soars and greets those with feet no longer on this earth. let the pain wash over our hearts and float around, and the merriment of for their life carries us into the night. We bid upon Kiltor to feed from the flesh of the hollow shell that the spirit hath vacated, and bring it back into the circle of nature. Birth, life, death, decay. May thy corporal agent be the bringer of life, and start a new circle anew for another. As 'twere above, then so below, thy spirit walks with those whom graced these walls ages past. Join them with grace and love, as Ghana welcomes thou into our ever-loving embrace. We intend to meet thou again in the hereafter. Blessed be the moon goddess in all her wisdom.
With that, she closes her eyes, turns her head downward, says a few more prayers, looks up at the others.
Bjorn raises his hands up and says, "Tonight we will celebrate the life of Ishtar." And he points to Baelor. Baelor lights the pyre on fire, and the flames start to catch around. And you notice people start to kind of fall away back towards the longhouse. And with that, the camera pans to the Jarl's longhouse, where the mood is much different in here. Everybody seems, quite happy here. So there's music you can hear, festivities, lots of talking as you guys come in. You notice the whole place is pretty filled with people. Keltiel, you even noticed Vagrin, your alchemy trainer, over in the corner, drinking a mug of ale. Go ahead and roleplay this scene as you guys come in.
Keltiel will approach Vagrin, since he's the person she knows the best.
Vagrin looks over and smiles. Keltiel! Ha ha ha! I have not seen you in a while.
Yes, my sister has been alone at the temple since the others left, and it has kept me away. I hope that it has not put you behind on anything. You can always send word, and I will do what I can at the temple or come down for the day.
Oh no, there's no problem at all. I know your sister needs your help, and that is fine. I have actually come here to pick up some supplies, and I will be leaving soon.
You are leaving? Where are you going?
I am going to Hammerfall. The pilgrimage has called for many to go there for the Festival of the Dead.
Oh, I wish I could go. I long to see someplace other than this little town. The same
Oh,
faces every day.
it stinks there, but it is beautiful civilization. An enormous city, towers, banners, people everywhere. But it does smell bad.
Well, I think someone in our line of work can put up with a few bad smells. Am I right?
Of course. There is many schools there too. Maybe one day you should go there and learn some more things that I could even teach you.
Oh, she looks kind of distant. I would love that. Not that you are not an excellent teacher, but there is so much I want to know.
Of course, that's what makes you such a great student. Always the curious one.
That is a kind way of saying it. Some would say a pest. But I thank you for the kindness. Do you see there is a stranger among us?
I see you have come in with him. Who is this man?
He says his name is Wrath. That is an odd name. He is covered in markings all over his chest. We found I did not find him. Hunter found him in a cave. He was wearing nothing but sandals and the thinnest ropes. You would think that he would be dead or frostbite from head to toe, but look, he walks fine.
He kind of sips his ale and peers over across through the people towards Wrath. Definitely like interested in it. Very strange, but then again, there are many strange things as of late. I had to leave Skore, which is where he's from, the village near here. Many things have changed lately, and for the worse, and that is another reason, to be honest, why I didn't want to stick around. I could use the vacation.
I am hoping that for Istmar gone, perhaps people will not be so tense. He seemed like a good man, but his ravings put people on edge.
He has no idea where he is from?
Oh, I was speaking of Istmar, but this rat, he either does not wish to say, or he truly does not remember much. He seemed very surprised to be here.
You can tell he's had quite a few meads, and he grabs one as the maiden passes by. He takes one for you. You want a drink?
She smiles. Of course I want a drink. She takes it. Do you take me for my sister?
And speaking of your sister, as Yuya walks in, he says, "How are you, Priestess Yuya? Come and drink."
Princess Yuya.
Yes, sister.
Oh, go ahead.
She was just gonna pick up another drink and hold it out.
She waves to people as she kind of walks over to her sister and Vagrant. And she smiles very politely as usual, but holding up a hand.
I appreciate the offer for a drink, but you know I can't imbibe alcohol.
Skull.
How do you know you can't? You have never tried. Keltiel says with a little smile.
It is one of the tenants' sister, and I have to remain both pure of body as well as pure of heart. I cannot imbibe the poisons that you decide to imbibe yourself with.
How can this be making you impure when we pour it on wounds to make them clean?
She still maintains a smile, but her head twitches a little bit to the side.
Yes, but that is for healing, sister, not for making one intoxicated and inhibiting thoughts, emotions, making bad things happen. I've seen many times where people come to the church, they've made a bit of a mess and they've been very intoxicated. I know the effects and I know that the moon goddess does not approve of this type of behavior.
Keltiel looks down at her drink and smiles wryly. Well, for some, it is a bit of a medicine. It can make some of us feel better than the moon goddess and her vase fail to do the trick. But I will not tease you anymore.
Yeah, I've never seen the moon goddess fail to make someone happy, but it is your choice, sister. You may do with your life as you wish, your body as you wish.
She seems to be, again, since the smile's still there, but she's kind of got this disapproving look listed in her eyes as she looks down to the drink, up to Keltiel.
Don't worry, I will keep my head about me. So, perhaps that stranger, he is perhaps feeling better enough to have some food and drink.
Yes,
What do you think?
maybe you could offer it to him. I need to make sure everyone else is doing well. Seeing if I can convince more to come to the church more often. I don't see enough faces around. And
with that, she kind of just wanders off. Was kind of still talking.
Keltiel will give Vagrant a nod and take a couple drinks over to the area where Hunter and Wrath are. Hold them out. You can drink with that hood on, yes? She says to Hunter.
Yeah. The mask has space.
What deformity do you hide? Wrath is currently dressed in whatever clothing the church would have given him. I'm guessing it's like furs and that sort of thing. Kind of pulls it up over his shoulder as he asks Hunter that.
None. The mask is for protection.
You are protected by a mask from these people? Or do you hide your visage?
No. If something or someone tries to bite through the mask, it's harder for them to do so, to get flesh.
I see. Ever vigilant, then.
When you're not vigilant, you're dead.
Truer words were never spoken. And he reaches and takes the ale from Keltiel.
Perhaps you can keep it inside you this time.
I feel more settled now. I will drink slower as you advised. He takes a drink.
That is good. All are welcome at feasts such as this, so do not hesitate to get something to eat, but not too much.
Very well. He looks around slightly. This is a celebration for the death of that old man.
A celebration of his life.
I see. Takes another drink.
You notice Avos has kind of been listening and leaning up against the pole over here. That's this fella here. He's an older soldier-looking gentleman, and he says, many thought he was a madman.
Wrath turns and looks to Avos over his shoulder. Is that so? Those touched by the gods, sometimes they are touched too close, know too much, and their ravings to a man might seem insanity.
He takes a sip from his mead and nods. He says, he was a good man. Sometimes his predictions come true, but I stopped visiting him after mine did not.
I do not know about this, Avos, says Keltiel. What did he predict for you?
He predicted that I would have a daughter, and I did not. I always wanted a daughter.
Does Avos still have a living wife?
He does not, and he had a son too who was killed in battle.
Ah. Well, Avos. Perhaps there is still time for it to come true. I am not offering, but just, you never know.
He smiles and looks you up and down and says, perhaps. And then you hear Bjorn shout out, big clanging. Y'all, Bjorn Rangvald stands up. Everyone quiet, quiet, quiet. We have come here to celebrate the life of Ishtar. He was a good man, and may he drink all of the gods' mead just as he did mine. To Ishtar, Skål. Everyone kind of raises their cups up. Although we have much to celebrate, the winter snows will soon come and bring the Algor. 3 months of the coldest dark. Ismar spoke of your arrival, Hunter. And he points like directly towards, Hunter, kind of making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, I guess. Everybody kind of stops to look at you and for a moment. He said many bad omens would follow, and so far he was right. Avos has been finding that the guilt are growing more and more scarce each passing week. We have found far too little to hunt, and this is troubling. Not enough food, not enough furs. The village to the northwest of here is nearly a week's travel, a place called Skore. Avos passed through last week, and they asked for a very strange favor. They needed an exorcist, a priestess. And he looks straight over towards you, yeah? Someone who can break a curse, or so they said. Their priests have all gone to Hammerfall for the pilgrimage to the Festival of the Dead, like many do this time of year. I told them I would send help. And he says, please, if you are interested, then you let me know. And he gets up and he says, please continue your music. And he walks like right over towards Yuya.
And she's standing there, kind of brings her hands together and is kind of gripping them a bit, but she remains smiling as the Jarl comes up towards her.
So, they need a priestess, you say?
He smiles and finishes his mug before approaching you and nods. And you see kind of like there's a little bit of dismay on his face. And it saddens me to ask you to do this, but I know you have not traveled much and never fought.
No, Jarl, I never really been outside the village. Other than to might do some prayers and put people, put their shells, into the ground, that kind of thing. But
And she looks over to Keltiel and back to the Jarl.
I will confer with the moon goddess this evening, and if she sees it fair for me to go, then I would be happy to go.
He smiles really big and puts one hand out, almost as if he's gonna hug you, and he says, well, I told them I would send help. I've chosen you for this task. You may, of course, take your sister with you, and you do know the old rites of the exorcism?
Yes, I do.
She'll look over to Keltiel, give her a smile, and look back towards the hunter in wrath.
Only issues is that got some people to stay in. I need someone to look over the temple while I'm gone.
Keltiel comes forward to try to interject herself into this conversation and says, Jarl, you cannot expect two girls to travel in this season on these roads alone. That is unreasonable. We must consider my sister's safety.
And I'm sure the moon goddess will
He's
keep us safe when we travel. If she deems it.
Right, as she deems it, but your moon goddess seems a bit unpredictable when it comes to who lives and who dies, and I can't help feel that we would be safer here.
Oh, there's always a purpose in everything that she chooses.
I, of course, will send help with you. Avos had agreed to come with you, and Avos smiles and takes a step closer to you both. Avos knows the woods well, and is the oldest and most experienced.
Keltiel looks at Avos. Yes, he obviously has much experience. However, I am not convinced that his experience will be enough. It is a bit of a journey. Jarl,
And I know.
why are you so eager to help this other village when our village has such need of my sister?
He kind of leans in when you ask that, and a little bit more quiet. We will in turn ask them for trade. We need food and furs. Since the guild have gone missing, we are in trouble when the winter comes. So, Avos, I have spoken with him about this before. There is something going on. The guild are vanishing at a rapid rate. And this is a very bad sign since we depend on them for furs, bones, and meat. And he looks over towards the hunter and points at you. And as Ismar had spoken about, since you're coming to Giltan, these things started to happen. It only seems right that you would go with these girls to protect them.
And Hunter will look up from his bowl and just look at the Jarl. Nod. Sure. I'll go.
He smiles. And then he looks over towards the stranger. And what of you?
What of me?
Would you not offer your sword to protect these women?
Why would I do such a thing?
Oh, perhaps because you owe my sister your very life?
He looks over to Keltiel, and then back to you, yeah. Is that so?
Yuya just smiles at Wrath.
Well, I don't really believe that you beyond me anything. You're the moon goddess, of course. Well, I think we all do. But not me personally, no. I just act through her. It was really the hunter who saved you. Brought you there.
Keltiel snorts. The pretty ones are so often afraid. Afraid to get their hands dirty. Afraid of a little danger.
He just laughs. I will go. For the simple fact that this place smells.
Jarl laughs and he says, "Ha ha! Ah, then, good. The pretty man has agreed. I can offer you a wagon and 2 of our best burren, which are like oxen. If you need other supplies, I will give them for you. Food, of course.
Just enough food and water and hopefully winter clothes to have us make our way there and make the trip. That's really all we need, I think.
Perhaps some coin or something to trade when we are there for our own sustenance and things that we might need.
He smiles and he nods. Of course. If you need any weapons, we have a few. A barrel of water, a barrel of mead, and 2 weeks of rations for each of you.
Wrath nods. I have misplaced my blade. I will need something for the meantime if I am to protect these women.
He nods and he snaps his fingers towards one of the other men over in the corner that you met last night. Ramnar, over here. He comes over. Ramnar is the armorer here at the village, the blacksmith. You need to give them what they need for their journey. Ramnar agrees. He nods. Oh, anything. Anything they need, of course. Good man. Go make the preparations when they are finished with their drinks. Ramnar nods. You let me know when you are ready.
Wrath simply nods.
Is Ramnar an orc?
No, everyone here is human.
Human? Okay, he's just got a different shade of skin.
He's a little bit darker, yeah.
Wrath looks over to Hunter and then Avos. I assume they do not have well-made steel here.
Hunter just kind of shrugs and it will kill whatever it hits. That's all that really matters.
Not everything. He flexes his hands.
Ava says, are you good with a sword?
I was.
What happened to your sword?
I do not know. I have lost her.
He pats you on the shoulder. But then we will get you another one.
He gives Avos a very cold look as he touches him. There is no replacement, but I will take what I must. He shrugs.
He smiles and he walks off over to the others. Over to the ladies there. Avos walks up to Keltia and says, do not fear. I will protect you. And your sister.
I am glad you will be there. I am not afraid. Just inconvenienced. I have never seen an exorcism. She looks over at her sister. I hope it is not too dangerous for her.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine, sister. I mean, I've read about it in books. The sisters have taught me about it, that kind of thing. So I know the theory of it, but I'm sure the moon goddess will guide me through it.
Very well. It seems our Jarl has a good reason for needing to send you.
Yes, it seems, based on how prepared everyone is to come with us, I'm sure this is what the moon goddess wants. We do need to have the village after all, and I hate to see everybody starve over the winter.
Well, I will not argue or create a fuss about this under one condition, sister. You do not clean up after that one anymore. And she points to Wrath.
Oh, yes, I need to find that.
She kind of leans into Keltiel.
Maybe next time you could. I do find that if I try to clean up after
He
him.
needs... No.
Oh.
Sister. The moon goddess teaches us that one must learn to care for oneself. One must not burden others overmuch. She would want him to learn, don't you think?
True. Also, I think he likes to get nude if people clean for him, so I'd really not like to do that.
Oh, what? What? He what? He took his clothes off?
Yes, I just offered to clean his clothes and he decided to. It was very inappropriate.
Keltiel just busts out in a huge laugh. Oh, well, perhaps I will take a turn after all.
What? What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. I tease you.
As long as it's not...
It appears he has much to
Yes,
learn.
as long as it's not around me. The sisters say I should not view the other sex. It's not allowed. So I just do it out of my eyesight. I don't want to see.
Was it a lot to
I
see?
don't know. I looked away.
Opportunities lost. Well, I suppose we will enjoy our night here and start our preparations in the morning.
Yes.
When do you wish us to go, Jarl?
You notice Jarl is talking to his son Olaf, and he says, "And you won't go to protect these women?" And Olaf's like, "Father, this is a messenger's job." And he walks off, and Jarl's like, "Pfft, stubborn boy." He walks over to you guys. "Can you leave in the morning?"
Yes, Jarl. We can get ready for the morning. I'll make sure to get prepared tonight, though. I'll need to leave now. I need to do some preparations for the temple before I leave.
Of course. Naya has agreed to watch over the temple for you. And she walks over, priestess, and bows.
Thank you so much, Naya. And she'll reach both hands out, grasping one of hers and holding them very gently.
Thank you. I trust that you'll do the very best you can.
Of course, it's not a problem. My sons will watch over the tavern, and I will watch over the temple with my life.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ramnar says, "Well then, please tell me what kind of weapons you need, and I will get them for you."
Marath turns and says, "A blade. Long. Strong steel. If you have it."
Of course. And for you, Hunter, do you need anything?
Leather armor, if it will permit.
All right. Keltiel?
Oh, I think maybe I could use a good knife.
Excellent.
Mine is getting a bit worn and rusted.
And for the priestess?
Oh, I don't really use weaponry or anything like that, but maybe a knife as well. If it matches my sisters, all the better.
Keltiel smiles at that.
Bjorn comes over and he says, "May the gods watch over all of you, and thank you for this. Remember, when you get there, please ask them about the trade. That'd be most important. I will have Baelor bring you some coin in the morning." And he nods over to you, Keltiel.
That is good. I appreciate that. Well, this is unexpected. It will be maybe a good adventure to see another village.
Yes, I don't quite remember us ever leaving the town when you're younger. And haven't really left the town since.
You notice Bjorn walks over towards you, Wrath, and stands in between both Hunter and Wrath, and he kind of whispers, "Where are you from, stranger?"
He's speaking to me, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Wrath turns back towards the Jarl. I do not know. Not rightly.
And Hunter, do you know anything about what is going on out there?
It's just as I've been saying since I've arrived. The dead walk.
The dead.
Yes. The dead. Corpses. Shambling. Risen again. They walk these lands.
Says perhaps the Undar have returned then. Well, we will be ready. May the gods watch over all of you.
We should burn our dead from now on.
He kind of stops and looks back. He says, "Of course, so that they will not rise against us."
Hmm.
He looks over towards Priestess Syria. Or so the saying goes.
Yes, I mean, we can scatter what's left of them, the ashes and such, to the ground. I think it's fertilizing. So, that works. I think the moon goddess would approve.
All of you, can you make a perception check? Let's go up to attribute checks. Is it working for you, Keltiel?
Oh, I thought that I mean, I had done it. I thought that mine had shown up. Hold on. There we go.
Okay, so nobody, let me whisper you something. So everybody else goes about the day, you know, the partying and the drinking and stuff, pretty much into the night. But you guys are gonna go prepare, right, for the quest.
Yeah, Yuya leaves pretty much right away.
Is anybody drinking more than unusual?
No.
Okay. All right. Ava says, I will have the wagon ready for you outside the temple in the morning.
Very well. We will see you there. I will have some breakfast so we can have something warm in our bellies before heading out into the cold.
And anybody want to do anything else before closing?
I don't think so.
I think if probably Yuya would just bid most of the people just goodbye for the week and kind of continue to go around the room and give friendly greetings to everybody.
Yeah, everyone pretty much bids you guys farewell and good luck on your travels and stuff like that. And may the gods watch over you. And with that, we'll end it here for the night, so we can continue on the beginning of the quest. So the camera fades to black as you guys head off into the night.